Three core arguments to use when seeking to invest in your field service management systems. Protect your most valuable assets, your staff. When it comes to field service, there's one maxim that rings truer than any other. It is people that drive your success. With this in mind, it is of course vital to protect the most valuable of all assets, our staff. The field service worker is inherently vulnerable. Field service engineers can be found in all manner of hazardous environments, whether it be high up pylons or deep underground, working in isolated locations with heavy machinery or surrounded by explosive materials. The field service engineer can be found tirelessly keeping the world moving, and more often than not they are working alone while doing it. For this very good reason, it is little wonder that staff safety is one of the most prevalent arguments put forward for investments in an FSM solution. Sometimes even ahead of the ROI discussion, which as we've just seen is also particularly robust. Often, the scenario is that heavy industry regulation and legislation will drive the case forwards. We've seen this in certain industries such as healthcare, insurance or power generation. However, it's equally common that an organisation will, of their own volition, ensure that they have made every effort to meet their moral obligation to put their workers' safety at the forefront of their working priorities. The interesting thing is that often by doing so, they will see instant return on investment, simply through reduced insurance premiums that reflect the reduction of risk. And this is on top of all the other potential savings we mentioned in the first section of this presentation. However, while these obvious benefits are easily identified, a focus on health and safety doesn't always have to be about risk avoidance and aversion. A safety-first approach can yield significant benefits, as proved by Alcoa, the aluminium company of America's former CEO Paul O'Neill, who increased profit fivefold when adopting such a position focused around health and safety when he took on the CEO role. Making health and safety a keystone habit. I want to talk to you about worker safety. These were Paul O'Neill's words in his first speech as CEO of Alcoa. The room was full of nervous investors as Alcoa's stock had been volatile after a series of failed products. It was a room expected to hear promises of improved margins and bottom lines. Wall Street was eager to hear anticipated revenue projections and potential industry innovation. But O'Neill was resolute in his focus, and that focus was health and safety. Every year, numerous Alcoa workers are injured so badly that they miss a day of work, O'Neill continued. Our safety record is better than the general American workforce, especially considering that our employees work with metals at 1500 degrees and machines that can rip a man's arm off. But it's still not good enough. I intend to make Alcoa the safest company in America. I intend to go for 0 injuries. After O'Neill had finished speaking, the room fell silent. Across the 13 years that O'Neill remained at the helm of Alcoa, profits increased 500%. It is a case study highlighted in Charles Duhigg's excellent book The Power of Habit, in which O'Neill discusses exactly how his focus on health and safety had such a profound impact. Across O'Neill's tenure, Alcoa dropped from 1.86 workdays lost due to injury per 100 workers to 0.2. By 2012, the rate had fallen to 0.125. But the interesting thing is that that impact extended beyond worker health, with the company's profits hitting a record high just 1 year after O'Neill's inaugural speech. As O'Neill commented himself in an interview with Duhigg, I knew I had to transform Alcoa, but you can't order people to change. So I decided I was going to start by focusing on one thing. If I could start disrupting the habits around one thing, it would spread throughout the entire company. Focusing on that one critical metric, what Duhigg refers to as a keystone habit, created a change that rippled through the entire business and changed the culture within Alcoa. This focus on worker safety led to closer examinations of inefficient processes, something that will resonate with many field service organisations also. How an FSM solution can reduce the risk for your field service engineers. It is evident that not only is health and safety a significant driver for investment in field service management solutions, it can also yield many additional benefits, ranging from the more self-evident risk reduction through to the less tangible but equally impactful aspects such as refinement of processes and establishments of company-wide best practice. So let's take a moment to explore some of the practical ways in which an FSM solution can provide additional safety for our field workers. Lone worker protection. Perhaps the most absolute dangerous aspect of field service work lies in the simple fact that the field service worker is often working alone. Often the thin line between an accident and a tragic loss of life is simply the speed in which help arrives. And when a field service worker has no colleague to alert the rescue services of an accident, then technology is required to fill that gap. Indeed, lone worker technology is a thriving sector within its own right, with various technologies including wearables that track vital health indicators such as heart rate, temperature and perspiration, able to communicate to HQ should an engineer's health suddenly deteriorate. However, there are also many lone worker aspects already embedded within many FSM solutions. These are often simple yet highly effective tools that utilise the field service engineer's mobile phone or tablet's GPS signal and whichever FSM solution the engineer is already using to receive their work orders. Something as simple as an automated call to the engineer if their app isn't showing the correct activity within a specific time frame can help identify quickly when an engineer could potentially be in danger as a result of an accident. Similarly, simple geofencing could identify when an engineer has had to travel to a particularly remote area and ensure that that engineer checks in at specified intervals. And that brings us to the end of this video. However, if you found this content of use, you may be interested to know that it's actually an excerpt from a much longer documentary produced exclusively by Field Service News in partnership with HSO. If you're a fieldservicenews.com subscriber, you can access the full-length version of this video by simply clicking the links below. If you have yet to subscribe to fieldservicenews.com, then join 30,000 of your field service management peers and do so again by simply clicking the links below. But for now, thanks ever so much for taking the time to watch and listen. Thank you ever so much to HSO for being our partner on this project, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care.